What's up, everybody? Blessed be. My name is Mannun, and you are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. Please visit me on my other platforms as well, including Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, all linked down in the description below. The full script to this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired to build your Witch in the Working, for instance, Book of Shadows. Also, please visit my Shopify store listed in the description below to get your Witch in the Working shirts, mugs, stickers, bags, beanies, or what have you. So I found myself explaining my specific beliefs quite a bit lately, so I decided to make a video that I can spill my guts and heart out, and from now on when someone asks, I can simply link this video to them and they can see, well, a well thought out, hopefully simplified, explanation. This is all my opinion and my personal belief. This is not a fact in any way, shape, or form. This is just how I personally see things and what helps me get through this series of journeys and events that we call life. So without further ado, roll that intro. Welcome back, everybody. So let me back up a little and explain why the gods and goddesses exist, at least in my opinion. The gods and goddesses exist today because humans have a very hard time existing without a crutch. Let me explain what I mean by this. The belief in a higher power has existed for centuries and originated with our ancestors thousands of years ago when they couldn't figure out why a lot of natural phenomena was occurring. Lightning, thunder, night, day, snow, rain, earthquakes, floods, forest fires, death, birth, tornadoes, hurricanes, waterspouts, the seasons, you get it. I mean, I could go on forever. All of these things to early man were unexplainable, and so man created gods and goddesses to be associated with these things once our brains evolved enough to actually fantasize these images and process this scenario and story. For example, how did the gods of thunder first come about? I can assure you one thing, a large man did not descend from the clouds before a village or city of people and say, "I am the god of thunder, worship and honor me or suffer my wrath." Why do I know that the gods and goddesses don't exist amongst the physical like this? Because they are only within stories created by humans and not actual documented events. And to go a little further, where are they now? I mean, why do they not show themselves from time to time like they have for thousands of years until just recently? Why? Because they are stories and energies created by our human imagination. It's as simple as that. Why did man create them? Because he or she needs an explanation and a reason for these occurrences, and even more importantly, a hope or method of controlling the situation. For instance, going back to our example of the god of thunder. This was a very scary thing to early humans. Why? Because it was out of their control and they don't understand it. We as humans tend to fear that which we don't understand. They knew there was nothing they could do about it physically, but they figured if there is a god associated with this thunder and he is the reason it occurs, then maybe they can make him happy, and in return he won't be angry and won't bestow upon them lightning and thunder. So what could they do? Figure out in their own minds what this god wants from them to make them happy. So they sit there and they think. Maybe a tribal shaman and his group of wise men sit around the fire and discuss one evening. What can we give this god of thunder so he won't be angry and scare us with his wrath? They have no idea because it's not like they can ask him. So they decide, well, what do we really love in life? So one guy jumps up and says, "Hey, I love it when we are successful on a hunt and we come home and with loads of meat and we fill our bellies. It satisfies me for days, sometimes even weeks, and makes me feel so good." Another guy says, "I love it when we have our big feast and we dance and sing as well. It always brings fond memories and makes me feel amazing on harder days." So the chieftain stands up and he says, "Then it's settled. If these things make us happy, then they will most likely make the god of thunder happy as well. So we'll multiply this and really give him a great offering. He shall receive the first of our hunt, and we'll roast an entire bison in his honor and offer it to him, and we'll dance and sing in praise to him as well as this bison burns away." Another man says, "How will we know he has received his offering?" Chieftain says, "Well, will place the bison in the wilds, and he will come as earthly creatures to consume his gift, and then we'll know he's accepted it. All the wise ones and chieftains agree, and this is then passed amongst the village and throughout the centuries as stories and tales told from father to son and mother to daughter. Wash, rinse, and repeat for each and every god and goddess in existence today and created by humans throughout the thousands of years. Now listen, I'm sure I'm going to get tons of flack from many of my fellow pagans out there. Again, this is just my opinion. But now let me throw a twist in there. Does this mean I do not believe in the thousands of gods and goddesses that fill the storybooks today? Absolutely not. In fact, I do believe in these as energies. What do I mean by this? First of all, with this belief, man came before the gods. I believe that if enough people put their belief and energy into an idea, that it creates on the astral level. In some situations, things created on the astral are then brought down to the physical. For instance, when I thought about creating this video, I placed the thought on and the energy into it where it formed on the astral existence. From there, I started creating the video on this physical plane and did it. And now we have a physical representation of what is sitting on the astral right now as well. I took my idea, I created it on the astral and manifested it onto the physical. My point is, I believe that these gods and goddesses do exist, and with every characteristic that humans have built them to have. That's right, that humans have created and built them to have. Let's take Zeus for instance. Everyone knows Zeus, the Greek god of thunder and lightning. When man created Zeus over time, he also began to inherit human emotions, characteristics, and flaws. Why? Because this is what humans do to bring these gods they created down to earth and down to a level of existence that humans can clutch onto and relate to. They don't want the gods and goddesses so far out of reach that they can't relate. As it stands, they already can never see them, smell them, hear them, or touch them. So to keep them from being too far out of reach, they needed to be able to make them more human-like so that they could relate to them more easily and give them more form in their minds at least, because they sure aren't visiting and advising on the physical, and early humans began to realize this quite quickly. This is where belief comes into the picture, and why belief is so powerful today. So because I put all of my faith into my belief, and when people put their energy and belief into an idea that it creates on the astral, then yes, absolutely I believe that these gods and goddesses exist on the astral as well, exactly the way humans created them to be. And do I believe that these gods and goddesses have the power to help people when they ask for it and honor and sacrifice for their help? Yes, I do, because humans have created and instilled that hope and belief into that energy they created on the astral. So for those of you out there who do believe in these gods and goddesses, awesome, they exist, and I'm happy that you found your crutch. What do I mean by crutch? Because religion and belief in the gods and goddesses is what we use to help us live our lives, and especially for many of us to give an explanation of an afterlife. The comfort that there is something after we die, not just lights out. Many times we need this in life to give us a reason to not just give up on life. We want the hope and belief that there's something more. Most all of humans believe there's an all-omnipotent creative life force, and we simply will label it as God for now. This is one thing most all of us have in common when it comes to spiritual beliefs. However, religion is where many of us differ. Religion is the path to God, and it differs from culture to culture and century to century. Religion is the dangerous part because humans cannot accept that there can be more than one path to God. Humans must be right, and it has to be their way or no way at all. Hence, religion and politics are the two major factors in just about every war today and over the centuries. So now that I've explained where the mainstream gods and goddesses have come from, I'll move on to my personal belief. I do not put any energy into these mainstream gods and goddesses. Not that I don't believe in them, I just don't use them, so to speak. Many religions have a creation myth. In Abrahamic religions, there's Genesis. The Greeks have chaos and Gaia. The Hindus have Brahma, to name a few. My creation myth isn't really a story at all. It's simply rooted in my observances and perspectives of life itself. For me personally, I don't need a story, and to be honest, I don't necessarily need gods and goddesses in the manner that most people utilize and perceive gods and goddesses. Here's my perception and belief. I believe that there is a masculine and feminine force. I don't give this force a name, nor do I give this force or forces a body or vessel. I don't picture them as human figures or any other kind of animal, plant, or tree. I don't picture them as a mystical beast of some sort or an alien being or celestial body. In fact, when it comes to these two forces that I honor, I don't picture anything in my mind when it comes to verifying their existence at all. To me, these forces are male and female, which was and is for all eternity simply a masculine and feminine force and energy. They are the original source of all things, all-knowing, changeless, and eternal, and without form. And just as they are formless, they are as well omnipotent. They make up everything in nature that we perceive and beyond that we cannot even fathom in our minds. They're not just responsible for our existence in this realm, but also for boundless realms of existence on many levels of vibration that coexist with our own. What makes me think this is a truth for myself? This is the best part. I look around me. I mean, it's that simple. I look around me. Everything that exists around me is here because of a masculine and feminine interaction of some sorts to be here. I walk outside and I see squirrels trampling through the woods, birds perched in the trees, children playing in the park with their chattering parents cautiously observing nearby. Trees, bushes, and plants rooted steadfast in the earth, glowing with strength and confidence of the seasons' changes that occur all around us. The plethora of tiny insects that dance, flutter, crawl, and skitter about their duties before the winter months set in. I see perch, pike, and bluegill fish in the lakes, ponds, and streams all around me. Snakes, turtles, frogs, salamanders, and crayfish, all part of this orchestra of life that abounds in all 5 of our senses. The cells in our bodies, the atoms and molecules that abound in everything that exists, the positive and negative ions that exist in all the air around us, charged with life and awaiting a moment of just the right interaction to create that energy that is in and around, throughout and about all things in existence. From the most technical makeups of living organisms to the most simplified cellular organisms, we all contain this masculine and feminine essence, this positive and negative energy. 100% of everything exists because of a masculine and feminine or positive and negative force coming together. Our very Earth and solar system is here because of a mass explosion of energy, which was created by positive and negative forces in its most basic forms. Everything in existence contains this polarity. It's the one thing that everything has in common. More than 99% of every living thing on this planet with a heartbeat has a mother and a father. Some animals can self-reproduce, but even these animals are utilizing a masculine and feminine force that is self-contained in order to make this happen. Hence, they are fertilizing their own egg inside of their own self-contained womb. Still, an act of fertilizing, masculine, their own eggs, feminine. So to me, my deity, so to speak, is this unfathomable, unimaginable masculine and feminine force that exists in and around, throughout and about, above and below and beyond. Nature itself in every form on this big blue marble is my proof of these forces that I embrace. And I'm sure many of you will try to desperately shoot holes in my belief system and try to prove that something exists outside of this realm of the masculine and feminine, or positive and negative, or yin and yang, if you will. Good luck to you. And even then, as I mentioned earlier, it's my belief. It doesn't have to be yours. You're free to go on believing in whatever system helps you get through life. This one is mine, and it makes me happy and makes the most sense to me. So it is what it is. So to wrap it up in a nutshell, I do not honor a specific mainstream god and goddess. I do honor an omnipotent, unfathomable force or forces that are a masculine and feminine existence. I honor these forces because they make up everything around us, from the most simple-celled beings to the most complex, as well as our planet's very existence. I refuse to give them human characteristics or a human storyboard because, to me, this is in essence dishonoring them, and to paint them with a human characteristics brush is in fact giving them weakness and flaw, which in turn allows for judgment, which they are above and beyond these human traits and flaws as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I don't put too much thought into them at all in this manner. When I want proof of their existence, I but simply look at the world around me, including myself and, all of you. For me, if life is a reflection of the gods, then my perception of deity is right on track in the best philosophy I have experienced thus far. Another thing that works for me in this philosophy is that these forces I speak of are not man-made. Sure, the names masculine and feminine and positive and negative are man-made, but the concept and physical force is not. These forces existed long before humans did, and this is a scientific fact. So in turn, this philosophy really rings hardcore with me because it is the closest I've seen to actually a true deity force and not a human creative one. Again, this philosophy is what works for me. Some of us need to humanize our gods and goddesses, and that's fine, as it is what most people actually do. Hence, you can find a picture or a figurine of just about every single god or goddess that humans have created. I guess if I was asked to produce a picture of my god and goddess, I would just give you a picture of this. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch in the Working. What is your personal crutch? Do you use the gods and goddesses that have been created through the ages? Let us all know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that little bell to be reminded of wonderful and exciting future episodes to come. I love you guys and gals. Blessed be.